What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Veve Investments. I appreciate you tuning in. On today's episode, we're recapping the most recent community update video that dropped yesterday. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy. My intention for today's video is actually going to be focused back on Cavernous again. For anyone who's been on their website lately, you're going to notice a green banner at the top of their website promoting their most recent feature release article for 2023. Now, I have decided to push that video to our next episode, and that's in light of what happened in the Veve community yesterday. Now, considering the team has been active on my last couple of videos, and they've been very clear that they're monitoring social channels to gather feedback, I thought I'd kind of take this opportunity to share some of mine and discuss some of my thoughts about what happened yesterday. So the first thing I'm going to discuss here, and probably the most obvious, is going to be the brand revision that Veve went through yesterday. So they've changed their logo, they've changed their font, they've added a new slogan, and the reaction in the community was quite mixed. I've seen people complaining about the fact that they've now ruined the branding for the company. I've seen people complain about the fact that they didn't need to do it to begin with and that they like the older logo. There's lots of opinions being discussed in the community right now. Now, in the community update video, they did explain the meaning behind the new logo. It represents three things, the first being a V for Veve, the second being a heart, collectors at heart, and a third being a shield representing security. Now, here are my overall thoughts. I didn't expect this. That was one of my first tweets that I put out. The more and more I thought about it, the more and more I kind of started to realize why they did it. And that's because it's a quick brand refresh while we have a smaller user base on the platform, prior to marketing the platform and bringing on a bunch of new users. This is the last thing they would want to do after onboarding a bunch of new users. You're just going to confuse all those new users. Now, here's my overall thoughts and opinion. I can understand the argument that people are making about how they feel that Veve didn't even need to change their brand image to begin with. Okay, I understand that. I really liked the old logo. I thought it was perfect. But with that being said, I don't think they screwed the branding up for Veve. I think the new branding does look very professional, and for all those people who want to waste their time trying to bring other people down and call me a moon boy in the comment section down below, feel free. Go waste your time. It won't faze me. But looking at their website, looking at all their social platforms now, I think they have a much more consistent brand image. And speaking of the website, it looks fantastic now. Now, the one thing that I'm not that big of a fan of here is actually the slogan. I understand what they're trying to do with it. I'm just not that big of a fan. I think this is also a really good example of people don't like change. I think this is something that's going to grow on a lot of the users over time. So again, just to reiterate, I understand why some people are, frustrated that this brand image was changed to begin with, but at the exact same time, I don't think they messed the branding up at all. I think it looks good, and I think it will take some time for people to get used to. Now, for anyone who watched one of my more recent episodes, I talked about 17 things that the team can do to help mass market the platform. I actually noticed in this video that there were several points we discussed in that episode that the team covered, one of which was the foundation of Veve. So Alex was the first one to bring it up in the video. I'm very glad he did. This is actually how he started the video off, because if you don't understand this, you will not understand why Veve is taking the steps they're taking right now. I talked about how the foundation of a business needs to be strong, otherwise the leads that they end up bringing in end up falling through the cracks. When those leads fall through the cracks, you end up just wasting more time and more money. And in this industry, Veve cannot afford to do either one of those two. They waste too much time, a competitor gets ahead. They waste too much money, the company goes under. Now, Dan actually made a comment about how they've onboarded stronger members for their team, and now they're in a position to kind of flip on a few switches. One of those switches is digital ads, and something we discussed later on in this episode. But they also talked about how they want to make the sign-up process easier for new users. So again, this all ties into the foundation of Veve. The stronger the foundation of that business, the easier and faster the business can scale. I don't think people actually understand how fast Veve can grow once they turn on these switches. The longest part of the process is the part of the process that Veve is in right now. Solidifying the foundation, making sure they have the proper software, systems, security in place, reducing barriers to entry for new users, onboarding stronger members. All of this ties in to how the team is setting up Veve for long-term success. Long-term is the key word there. Now, Mr. Mitch Mack himself, he actually discussed how they want to release updates moving forward. So they're looking at releasing quarterly updates. Each release, he said, might contain a feature release for the app, enhancements to make the user experience better, or enablers to continue forward momentum. Now, speaking of momentum, this is something I want to talk about. Momentum works both ways for a business. You have to understand this. It can be a positive thing, or it can be a negative thing for a business. I've used an example with Tesla in the past. Tesla is a business that I consider to have a cult-like following. I don't really think you can deny that. Tesla is where it is today because of its customer base. Tesla doesn't run commercials, okay? Tesla's success comes from word of mouth. But when Tesla screws up in their business, that word of mouth works against them. So I want to preface all this by saying I am a Tesla fan. I am an Elon fan. However, in my opinion, Tesla is terrible at scaling. Okay? Their quality in customer service has gone downhill as they've just continued to scale. And when I talk about negative momentum for a business, I use the example of, there was a group of Tesla owners over in Denmark who just kept having issues with their vehicles and experiencing poor customer service. They ended up parking their Teslas, spelling out the word help, flew a drone above their car, and used that to try and get Elon Musk's attention. Whether that got his attention or not, that was bad marketing for Tesla. So that's an example of negative momentum right there. But in this community update video, they're talking about how they're still tracking on target for end of this quarter. They've gained considerable momentum in the past 40 days, having released 4 lines of code, 4 updates, so 1 every 10 days. And Mitch even said at one point in this video, and I quote, "It's always about momentum." And he's right. Momentum can make or break a business. And the fact that Mitch made that comment and he recognizes this is a very big thing for me. Another individual who has mentioned this in the past is Al Khan. He understands that we have all these licensors and IP under Veve's umbrella, but he's also made the comment about the importance of making sure the momentum continues. Now, this is a point that frustrated a lot of people in the community, and the reason why is because we didn't get a specific timeline for when they were looking to release the MCP. Now, right out of the gate, I'm going to say I'm not too disappointed with that, and the reason why is because I've even seen Mitch Mack himself on Twitter make comments about how they shouldn't be giving specific timelines for things in the past, having learned from previous experience. They were very, very clear in saying that this is one of the team's main priorities, okay? Mitch was transparent in saying that it is a little delayed, but it's not for the reasons that people think. There is tons of math involved. And I think for the people who actually understand this, those are the ones that are a little bit more patient with this MCP release. But there's a specific reason why I actually put this point right after momentum, okay? Let's say Veve releases their MCP update, and then all of a sudden, a ton of people are shortchanged. What do you think that's going to do for Veve's brand image? There's going to be a lot of people on Twitter talking crap, creating FUD, doing this and doing that. And the team made it clear on that call that they want to ensure that they don't shortchange anyone. So considering the math involves, the fact that they want to do this right, and this is just an assumption I'm making, but I doubt they're double checking their math here, because that would just take double the amount of time to go through everyone. So I'm sure they're probably taking their time, doing it right the first time around, to ensure that everyone has the right amount of points. If they were to release this feature and have a ton of issues right out of the gate, then having just spoken about momentum, that can ruin Veve's momentum given how important of a feature this is. So considering the fact that they're taking a little extra time to get this out, I can put myself in their shoes and I can understand why they're doing that. But if I'm putting myself in their shoes, right, and I understand how much time it's take to release a feature like this, they damn well better release it right the first time. That's all I'm saying. Next, there was a couple points discussed about the upcoming waitlist system. They talked about latency. So the team did admit a latency delay depending on where you reside in the world, and that's because of the locations of their servers. They do have a solution for this, and this is going to be the waitlist. Now, Dan did explain a little bit about how this system is going to work, and it goes as follows. So the waitlist system is going to open up 30 minutes before each drop for you to have the opportunity to join. The waitlist is then going to close 5 minutes before each drop, and then when the drop happens, the system will allocate X number of editions at random. Now, if the drop is not a blind box, you will also have the option of entering a waitlist for the specific piece of your choosing in that set. So to sum things up here, the purpose behind the waitlist system is to try and create more of an equal opportunity for people going for drops, as opposed to right now where some users actually have an advantage depending on where they reside in the world. Now, they did also talk about the wire situation. I'm going to breeze past this one, but they talked about how the payout is back up, but crypto paying is back in beta. Mitch said that there was kind of a good and a bad thing that happened as a result of this, the bad being inconvenience. But the good thing is that they identified issues that they were previously unaware of. Now, they've been able to fix these issues, but one thing I wish he did mention here is what those issues were. Now, here is another thing that was discussed as one of the 17 things the team can do to mass market the platform. they're actually going to be migrating their Medium articles over to their actual website, so the veve.me domain. Now, this is going to help with linking listings to their actual website. For anyone who's unaware of what a listing is, it's going to be pretty much any third-party site that displays Veve's basic business details. Okay, so it could be a third-party site like Yellow Pages and Yelp, to social pages like Facebook and Instagram, because you can get all that info from there as well. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is a good move is because a listing essentially acts as a bridge for potential customers to reach the business, okay? So what they're essentially doing here is they're actually providing even more opportunities for people to be able to find their business online. So in this case, the more listings your business has, the more opportunities you have to be found. Each Medium article or blog article that they release is a listing. And the fact that they can now link those directly to the website will help connect people who didn't know about those NFTs or Veve before, who clicked on those articles, to now find the web page and potentially become a new user. Now, this is another one of those 17 points we actually discussed, targeted digital ads, and I'm very, very glad to see that they covered this in the community update video. So the team is going to begin running ad campaigns that are designed to target specific types of collectors. So for those who didn't watch our episode discussing this, I walked through what's called a tracking pixel, okay? Now, they may not be using the specific example that I used, but a pixel is what's going to allow a company like Veve to target very, very specific audiences, as well as to gather data from their customer audiences that they can now use to retarget in additional campaigns down the line. Now, I did also talk about a social push and how I expected the team to be doing this. They talked about releasing more video content and how they're working with Corey from Veve and 3 in order to make this happen. Speaking of Corey, actually, I can't remember who mentioned it, but they were talking about how Corey is also sitting down with licensors of Veve to discuss promotional content related to their IP. So this is probably one of the bigger points I took away from the video, and this is when the team was discussing how they want to make the sign-up process easier for a new user. So I've discussed in the past about how Veve is relatively good at keeping their barriers to entry low. And that's because in terms of being able to buy an NFT on the platform, all you really need to do after signing up for KYC is put your credit card in and click buy now. The issue with that process, however, is making sure the individual is actually willing to complete the initial KYC process. Now, the team did say that they're looking to push KYC much farther down the user journey. This is huge. They said that you're only going to have to KYC if you're looking to buy or sell in the market or request a payout, which means this now opens opportunities for things previously discussed like affiliate programs. Because if you have an affiliate link that links somebody directly to the site and they now don't have to KYC, that's only going to help build the impulse of that individual, because that impulse will die if the moment they click that link, they have to complete a whole process to get KYC verified before they can actually even look at the NFTs on the platform. So the team also talked about their Discord. They talked about how this is a great way to help users through their customer journey. We've talked about reputation management in the past and how the reputation of a business can make or break the success of that business. So what Alex is talking about here is making sure they maintain a positive reputation. If we don't have mods answering questions all the time, then we're going to have a frustrated community, similar to those submitting support tickets that haven't got responses. They talked about how they're looking to introduce more features and giveaways in the Discord groups, but also introducing exclusive groups for certain people holding certain collectibles or sets. Another thing I liked on this call is the fact that they're going to be a lot more transparent with the amount of editions they're holding back for each drop. Right now, they're holding editions 1 to 41, and then another random 50 is reserved by the team. This is held for licensors, internal use, and then also featured giveaways. But the number reserved for each drop is now going to be included in the Medium article. So anytime they release that article with the drop information, part of that information is going to be the number of editions reserved for the drop. They talked about additional comic publishers. So we actually had the Scrooge McDuck 4-color comic get announced by the team yesterday. But David discusses how additional comic publishers, some large, some small, are going to be introduced in the coming months. The only reason they haven't released these yet is they're simply waiting for the right time. They want to make sure that our audience understands why they're releasing what they're releasing when they are. Two great bows, in the words of Alex Gonzalez. It's a little update on Lambo. It's very soon, right around the corner. They're just adding the final touches to the pieces. David also said we can expect more classic IP and confirmed Rambo. So if there's any Rambo fans watching, we do have that coming. He said we can expect more collabs in 2023, and around Q2, Q3 moving onwards, we can expect Fidgetals to start dropping on the platform. And last but not least, similar to that of the last community update video, we're going to round it off with David and Dan's collectible corner and some of the things I noticed in their backgrounds. So first, Dan talks about God Complex, which is one of the pieces he showcased himself. I'll toss it on screen now, but I thought it looked really cool. And another thing I actually thought was quite interesting with that is the fact that David and Dan are known as individuals for liking a whole spectrum of collectibles, right? Take David as an example, right? He always has such variety in his background. But I would not be surprised if in the future we start to see more pieces like this that are, maybe they're not too popular, they have a little bit more of a niche audience, but are, very unique and very cool. Bear Bricks is another one that David showed. Bear Bricks is something that he collects a lot of. We've seen them in his personal display room. But Bear Bricks are also going to be a product provided by Metacom, and Metacom is a confirmed license we have signed with Veve. I did notice in the bottom right of David's screen, there's that comic figurine statue that we actually showcased in one of our episodes at the end. I can't remember exactly what episode, but it was the 50 plus collectibles pertaining to IP on the platform that haven't dropped, but may in the future. And at the very end of the video, I included the exact comic figurine you see behind David. They're statues of some of the biggest first appearance Marvel and DC comics, and they actually have the first appearance character popping right out as a figurine. Now, I did also notice the Asian banners behind David as well, one to the left, one to the right, both with Asian writing, but below you also see Veve is written as well. We have David drinking out of a Sesame Street bottle. I laugh at this because it's like he's trying to be discreet, but I'm trying to think back to a community update video where he's been drinking out of a cup, not to mention where his background has been as empty as it has. So it's almost like he's trying to, divert our attention elsewhere. But on top of Sesame Street, you can see to the left, right behind him, we have the Veve logo, but spelt out in what looks like Lego. So Lego was one of the brands that I said I hope to see on the app in the future. Major brand, and tons of IP that's already on Veve that has partnerships with Lego, like Marvel, DC, and Disney. So I'm quite intrigued to see if that ends up turning into anything. That is going to conclude episode 44 of Veve Investments. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, next episode, we are going to be back on Cavernous. If you head to their website, you're going to notice at the top a green banner promoting their most recent 2023 feature release article. There was something specific I noticed in this article that I wanted to discuss with you guys, and it is in relation to Cavernous' white label service. Now, the Veveverse was originally going to be released in 2021, but I do have reason to believe that the Veveverse timeline may have been pushed back as a result of Cavernous' development timeline with their white label service. So if you guys are interested in finding out more about that, make sure to tune in next week. As for today's episode, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next one, I'll catch you then.